Hello and welcome to the show that gives you an insight into the most important issues of the day. You're watching The Big Picture. The recent political violence in one of India's most literate states, Kerala, has come as a shock to many, while on the other hand, it has failed to surprise many within the state as well as outside of it. The immediate blame after a perfunctory glance at the recent killings seems to be pointing towards extremist right-wing Hindu groups as well as left-wing Marxist groups. Kerala's northern district of Kannur, which is considered to be the cradle of the communist movement, sadly also leads the state in the spectre of political violence. Things came into the public eye again in May as T.P. Chandrasekhar, the firebrand leader of the CPM, was killed. Reports of party villages, where anything that the party says is the last word, have been going on around for ages, with parties on different ends of the political spectrum fiercely contesting charges that's common. The right-wing RSS has blamed the left cadres, especially the CPM, with carrying out killings for over 30 years, and the left predictably has refuted these charges. Tonight on The Big Picture, we try and understand why a cult of violence exists in the most literate state in the country and what led to such a situation. Joining me in the studio will be A.K. Ramakrishnan from JNU. Welcome back to the program, sir. Also, Mr. Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, Deputy Editor of The Hindu, also comes to the show again. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Mr. Seshadri Chari will also be joining us. He's a veteran journalist and RSS ideologue. On the phone in just a bit, we'll be joined by Mr. P.J. Kurian, Senior Leader of the Congress in the Rajya Sabha. As well, later in the show, we'll be joined by P. Rajiv, Rajya Sabha member of the CPIM. I'd like to start the show with Mr. Kurian, if I could. Mr. Kurian joins us from Kerala, where he is right now. Mr. Kurian, my question to you, sir, is Kerala is the most literate state in the country. Now, are you surprised that a spate of politically motivated killings have come to the fore in recent past? Considering that, it's a literate state, you would normally associate such political violence with, say, northern Hindi cowbell states. Are you surprised at all?
Really, I am surprised that such political killings are happening in Kerala, and also the revelation by CPM District Secretary in Idukki that some of these killings were conducted by the CPM party with their after consultation with their some kind of conspiracy by the party. That is a revelation by the district CPM secretary. It was surprising, and I don't know why this kind of killing should be there. You can oppose political enemies by ideology and by words. Why should we kill them physically and do away with them physically? That is not needed. That is not good in democracy. That is not good for a party. Now, what happened in Onchiam in the Kannur district is that, the T.P. Ramchandran, who was a CPM member, in fact, he was having some difference with the CPM party, and so he went out to the party, and he was killed. And because some of those arrested are from the CPM followers. Right. The presumption is that it is done by the CPM party.
Sir, Mr. Kurian, point taken. Is extremely sad that such political killings and such violence is happening in a state which is known for obviously something else. But my question to you very briefly, sir, if you could, is that some people say, a lot of people in this country think that it's not a specific or particular party that indulges in political violence and politically motivated murders, if I could call them that, but it runs across party lines in a state, in Kerala as well. Would you agree with that? Is everyone at the ground level somehow connected to the violence existing in Kerala today?
No, I don't agree to that position because, I am a member of the Congress party. Congress party do not believe in violence, and we as a party, we do not plan violence. As a party, we do not encourage violence, but maybe one or two Congress supporters or people must have indulged in such violence. So it is for the CPM to say whether they as a party support violence or not, and it is for them to say. But unfortunately, most of the arrested people or most of the accused happen to be from the LDF. So it has to be believed that CPM may be encouraging this kind of violence and killing, but it is up to them.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Right. We'll try and get the CPM view as well in a bit. Please stay with us. We'll come back to you. In the meantime, before I come to you, gentlemen, I'd like to go to Mr. Seshadri Chari, who also joined us on the program. Mr. Chari, welcome to the program. You heard what Mr. Kurian had to say, squarely pointing the blame at the CPM and the left parties in the LDF. Would you agree that the bulk of the violence is coming from the left cadres, or would you? Some people have also accused the RSS-backed groups in Kerala to about instigating violence. What do you have to say for that, sir?
No, I agree. I agree with Mr. Kurian on a number of issues. In fact, I am not at all surprised at these incidents. Rather, I am glad that the media has sit up and taken notice of this. And probably you are one of those very few channels who is doing a program on this. But we should not forget that Kerala need not be singled out for political violence and killings. We have seen how this has happened in West Bengal also. When Siddharth Shankar Ray of the Congress was the chief minister, he practically had to run away from West Bengal and come to Delhi because so many of the Congress cadres were killed on the streets of Calcutta that Illustrated Weekly of India in those days did a full feature article on this, and some of the photographs that they published could not be even reproduced by themselves. So these political killings and elimination, physical liquidation and elimination of political opponents is not new either in West Bengal or in Kerala, where the Marxist party and the left elements considered them as their stronghold. We should not forget that in 1975, when there was a ban, when there was an emergency and a ban on RSS and CPM together, a number of CPM people, volunteers, were in jail along with BJP RSS people. That was the time when a number of CPM people tried to understand the good side of the RSS, the ideological side of the RSS. And after the emergency, a number of Marxist people, Marxist volunteers and workers, especially from the Irava community where the communists had a stronghold, moved into the RSS. That was the time when the Communist Party probably must have taken a stand that either these people should be stopped from going into the RSS or they should be liquidated physically.
Right, sir.
This has happened. This has happened for any politically and ideologically radical party or a radical ideology. This has always happened.
Mr. Chari, point taken. We'll come back to you. I just want to get in my guests in the studio for a bit. Sir, starting with you, Mr. Ramakrishnan, A.K. Ramakrishnan, does Kerala actually have a history of politically motivated murders, for want of a better word? Has it been happening, like Mr. Chari says, since the late 70s, or is it a new revelation to you as well? Shed some light on the facts since you're a guest in the studio today.
Kerala has a long history of political violence. It's nothing new. What has come into the open now is Chandrasekharan's murder, the gruesome manner in which he was murdered. But there were many political violence, incidents of political violence earlier. And this was across the political spectrum. But the role of the left in this, particularly the CPIM in this, is important because it has a kind of ideological hegemony in Kerala and a strong cadre presence in Kerala. And therefore, the violence that is attributed to it, and many times it was a party to such a violence, it becomes a very, very important political signal. This has a lot to do with Kerala's own social and political history as well. Deeply ideologically polarized, as you know. But at the same time, it has provided political space for various political parties to have coalition politics. It was one of the major centers of that. So democratic inclusion of various political aspirations, that framework has always been there. But democratic polity in its essential features have somehow failed to occur because of the way in which ideology is perceived. How a civil society has to behave and what has to be its role with the state, what is the role of the political party in this connection, etc. Those kinds of things, I think Kerala has a very long way to go to have that kind of grassroots democratic sensibility, even though it is a functional democracy in a big manner. But larger elements of, even if you don't agree with your political enemy, living with oppositional ideas, coexisting with diverse sets of political viewpoints.
Right.
On that, Kerala has to learn a lot.
Absolutely. When Money, Venkatesh, made his startling disclosure, it shocked some people. On the other hand, outside the state mostly, on the other hand, people within the state, experienced politicos, saw nothing new in it. They said, we know this has been going on for a while now. How credible do you think Mr. Money's statement is, keeping in mind that he retracted immediately saying he was misquoted and he's disappeared, the police can't find him?
Well, I think, you'll have to look at Money's statement in a historical context and also in a contemporary context. It is, anybody who understands Kerala and Kerala's politics would know that political murders or a culture of social and political violence has been an inherent part of Kerala society, not just for the last 3 decades. I think, it's been there for more. But what is striking in Money's revelation is that, Money made it a public statement. And I think the context is very important. The CPM was in the defensive on account of T.P. Chandrasekharan's gruesome murder.
Right.
And it was trying to, state and prove that it was not involved in that murder. And as a counter argument, Money tried to say that, we have done this before. So if we have done this, we will always, we'll claim it. We have nothing.
So it was sort of a boastful remark rather than anything else.
So, this context, so Money's statement is not wrong or untrue in that sense, or it does not reveal something new in Kerala. What it reveals is the kind of political situation in which the CPM finds itself and the overall political context that it finds itself in. And because of that, Money has made this kind of a statement. I think, we need to see that in that context and understand the larger dynamics of this whole thing. A political leader, that too a very seasoned political leader, has been forced or rather compelled to come up with home truth, as it were.
Right.
And in saying that, I think if you really want to study deeply, you would understand that it is also a reflection of the larger society that Kerala is in. According to me, the biggest problem that Kerala has, Kerala has all these social indices which are very impressive, but it does not have the kind of political leadership that the population or the society deserves.
On either side of the political spectrum?
Across the board. Across the political spectrum. Barring a few leaders. For example, if you think in terms of political creativity, I suppose perhaps after EMS, we have not had very many leaders with any great political creativity to take the state forward, in the larger socio-economic parameters.
Or that stature of EMS?
No, in terms of socio-economic parameters, I am saying that, that you may not have stature, but then if you can really advance the political discourse, the socio-economic parameters of the state, you don't have a kind of politician who can do that. So, and also the Kerala society also, in spite of these social indices, I think it is essentially a society with very strong retrograde elements.
Right. We will take a small break on that point. We'll come back and talk to Mr. Chari as well. I will also try and connect to Mr. P. Rajiv, who's a CPM member of the Rajya Sabha. But that's after the break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still watching The Big Picture and we're still discussing the so-called cult of violence that is existing in Kerala politics right now. Coming to you, sir, Mr. Ramakrishnan, if I could ask you this. The politician-goon/police nexus is talked about every time Kerala violence or Kerala political violence comes up. Now, according to some former retired police officials, this nexus is rampant in Kerala. They also allege that parties like, I don't want to name anyone, but say left-wing or right-wing extremist groups cultivate goons for their own political benefits. Now, how far do you think that is true in a state like Kerala? Do parties actually cultivate goons to further their political motives?
I think that linkage is there. It may not be that widespread, but for political violence, parties utilize the goons, and they might have bred their own.
So
goons.
cultivate, utilize, tomato,
yes,
tomato.
or even take them on rent.
Right, right.
That process is there, but that need not necessarily reflect a whole lot on the society. It's a reflection on the state of affairs within political parties. And I'm mentioning here political parties across the ideological spectrum. What is important is whether the police can function as a force which can have relative independence from the parties which rule the state.
Which you're saying is kind of difficult in a state like Kerala because of the nexus.
There are two sides to it. You know, it's difficult if the police succumb to it. If it's, you know, in a way looks towards some space of action, it is available because now the media is very active.
Very active.
And there are other opportunities for that, and there are social groups to take up issues, etc.
Right. Let me put the same question, if I could interrupt you for one second. Let me put the same question to Mr. Chari as well. Mr. Chari, you heard what Mr. A.K. Ramakrishnan had to say. My question to you, of course, is the same. There are allegations by retired police officers serving in Kerala, who have served in Kerala, saying that political parties across the political spectrum cultivate goons, utilize goons, and there's a huge police goons/politician nexus. Would you agree that such a situation exists in Kerala, and parties utilize these anti-social elements to further their political motives? Would you agree?
No, I don't agree with it, number one. Number two, as far as BJP is concerned, we don't believe in this kind of working at all. But as far as goons are concerned, the normal procedure or the normal thing that we have seen is these antisocial elements usually cultivate political parties, and these antisocial elements and those who behave with some extra constitutional authority normally cultivate ruling parties or those parties which are probably more closer to the power center. In Kerala, the BJP has never been the ruling party and has never been close to political power also. So it's possible that some of these elements have cultivated the Congress and the Communist. So they have been working at the behest of Congress and the Communists to a very large extent. And it is easier for these agencies, these organizations and these individuals. I would not call them, it would be very unfair to just bracket them as goons, because they are not just ordinary thugs and thieves. They are all in this business of elimination at the behest of a political party for a consideration.
So
Normally it is economic consideration of getting business and also getting some fat contracts from the government.
Right, so Mr. Chari, you said that it is mainly to do with the Communists and the Congress. Let's get a left perspective in as well. I think we are just connected with Mr. P. Rajiv, who's a Rajya Sabha member of the CPIM. Sir, the allegation is against the left cadres in Kerala especially, is that the left cadres, the left parties, especially CPM, cultivate these antisocial elements to further their political motives, and they utilize these goons, so to say, to actually eliminate people who stand in their way. How much of that is true, and what would you like to say in this party's defense? Is that true at all?
That is totally wrong. We are not a party like that, utilizing goons to deal with the political opponents. We are always trying to mobilize the people against these type of criminal activities in politics. We have taken strong stand against the criminalization of politics. We have taken strong stand against antisocial elements, mafias, all over the state. But recently, the media and UDF, some section of media and the ruling friends, they have tried to identify the CPIM and the left like this, which you have mentioned earlier. But we, the party, CPIM, lost hundreds of comrades all over the state by the attack of Congress, by the attack of RSS, by the attack of NDF, because we have taken a very strong stand against these parties, against their anti-people activities. We lost hundreds of comrades all over the state. And we are not a party like that. We are utilizing goons or antisocial elements against any political parties. And we never take a stand to eliminate the political opponents. We have taken a stand to oppose the party's ideology, politics.
Sir, but what would you say to Mr. M.M. Mani's statement confirming, or he telling the media and the world that the party has done this before? He mentioned 3 specific murders.
Actually, Mr. Mani, he was the secretary of our committee. His remarks are totally against the party's stand. It is we disown the statement. Our Politburo, Central Committee, and State Committee disown the statement. We never taken that type of things, listing the political opponents and taken that part of murder. It is not our party State Committee and Politburo have taken the clear stand on it. It is a clear deviation from our stand. But the media utilizing that to label our party like a criminal party, that is totally wrong. You please look into Malappuram incident. You just mentioned about Muslim League. They have killed two people, and the Muslim League MLA have publicly announced they would deal with these 2 people. And also 2 years back, the Muslim League, they killed a teacher while he participating in a agitation in Malappuram district. That is that is the way of the Muslim League and other political.
Right, sir. Venkatesh, now another allegation in the party, especially CPM, is that the CPM agrees to cooperate whenever there is such an investigation or such situation as arises, as Mr. Mani's statement created a furor. They try to cooperate with the police, but in case it turns out that one of their functionaries was involved, all cooperation stops. And they have safe havens inside villages where they can never find accused. Would you say that that exists in Kerala, especially where the CPM is concerned?
That is not, exclusive to the CPM. I mean, I think if you look at the culture of violence in Kerala, again, one needs to look at it from a historical perspective. You were talking earlier about these mafia gangs. I think if you look at the Kerala's political context, it is a very recent phenomenon. There was a time in the 60s and 50s and even up to the 70s when all major political parties had, militant groups. The CPM had, the Congress had, the RSS of course had, I mean the RSS or its political arm, whatever it was. The Muslim League had. Even now that tradition continues. But, with the influx of the Gulf money and development of a consumerist culture, consumer society, these quotation gangs started settling small scores. And over a period of time, political parties also started encouraging these quotation gangs. These are called quotation gangs in Kerala.
Right.
You can settle scores. See, if I have a personal score to settle with you, I can...
So you give them a quote and
I can call a quotation gang and say, and there is a specific rate for each and everything. I mean, if you want the head cut, if you want the leg cut, I mean, there is a specific rate, for, just like the mafia.
It's brutal.
Yeah. So, there has been a qualitative difference in this culture of violence as well. So that is something which we need to see. And CPM certainly is a much more militant party than other parties in Kerala. A kind of organizational structure which various other parties are trying to adopt. I mean, even Congress, if you look at Congress organization in Kerala and Congress organization in the rest of India, you can see that Congress organization in Kerala is much more organized and much more militant
than the rest of the country.
Than the rest of the country. So, each party has got these safe havens. Take the case of the latest Muslim League MLA who has been accused of, who's the 5th accused in the murder case. Now, he is being protected inside the assembly. He is a 5th accused. He is a proclaimed 5th accused in a murder case, in a twin murder case. And in the assembly, he gets the protection of the very same police who is supposed to arrest him. So, this context one needs to see. I think, it's an evolving context. And as I was repeatedly saying, this is not just about politics in Kerala. It is about how the society in Kerala is developing, which includes all of us Malayalis.
Right. Fair point, sir. I have very little time on the show left, but I'd like to come to Mr. P. Raji once more if he's with us. Mr. Raji, if you can hear me, you heard what Venkatesh had to say. First of all, do you agree with him? And if yes, what is the way out? It's God's own country. It should not be known for political violence of such brutal nature. What is the way out?
Our stand is very clear. Actually, I have mentioned earlier, we are taking a strong, consistent stand against criminalization of politics. But recently, now Venkatesh also mentioned about the role of the Muslim League MLA in this incident. And once in Kerala, an MLA was shot dead that is the CPIM MLA, that is Kunyali in Malappuram district. And the number one accused in that case was is now the minister in this ministry, Julius ministry. That is a history in Kerala. We have taken a strong stand against. If anybody is relating to this type of murders, like the recent murder of Chandrasekharan or any other type of these things, we should take a very strong stand against them. If any have directly or indirectly involved in this murder, we will strong disciplinary action against them.
Point taken, sir. I'd like to go to Mr. Seshadri Chari for this. He had to make a point. Sir, make your point right now. And do you agree with Mr. Raji, what he said?
I strongly disagree with Mr. Venkatesh. One need not be a Keralite or from Kerala to know the history, social and background history of Kerala. But as far as his words about RSS is concerned, I do not know of any gang or any such groups which is affiliated to the RSS in the 50s or the 40s or the 70s or the 80s. RSS was founded in 1925. Since then, I know about the RSS history. RSS has no such groups or gangs. 1. 2. RSS is not a political party. Number 3. As far as the BJP's question is concerned, it did not exist in Kerala till 1980. It was formed in 1980. The Jansangh was not strong enough in Kerala for a very long time, and to a very long extent, we don't think the Jansangh was ever strong till 1975 after the emergency, till the emergency.
Right, sir.
So I don't know from where he gets all these theories. But as far as his social understanding of Kerala is concerned, I don't see any difference between the social groupings and social advancement of the people in Kerala or other South Indian states.
Right, sir. Fair
as
point.
Far as the Gulf money is concerned, I don't think these political killings have anything to do with Gulf money. There have been more political and such gang killings or what the gang warfare in Maharashtra, Mumbai, UP, Bihar, Rajasthan and other places.
Right, sir.
So these are all not peculiar only to Kerala.
Right, sir.
The most important element in this is the political killings are at the behest of the left parties, the Communist Party, which has been happening in Kerala and West Bengal unabated.
You made your point, sir. We have unfortunately run out of time on this program, but 20 seconds I can give you. Last word, sir. Sum it up all for us. 20 seconds or less.
I think it's time for very deep introspection across the political spectrum in Kerala, more so for the CPIM.
Right.
Because if it continues with its overarching control of the whole machinery, as in the past, it's not going to hold enough water.
Right. Fair point, sir.
And what's important is to accept some of the democratic ways in which one has to function in a society.
At that note, sir, we'll have
and respect for an opinion which is opposed to you.
Absolutely. We end the show on that. Unfortunately, we have absolutely no more time left. Those are my panelists. I must thank all of them. P. Raji from the CPM, Seshadri Chari of the BJP, also an RSS ideologue. Mr. Venkatesh, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. A.K. Ramakrishnan, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, it is extremely sad that such a beautiful state and a literate state like Kerala is right now facing such political violence and politically motivated murders. But not everything is lost, like my guest said. A need for deep introspection and a respect for others' views who are opposed to your views is what's needed. Thank you so much for joining us on The Big Picture tonight. That's all we have from the studio. Thank you and goodbye.